Good morning to everyone. According to a legend narrated by Evliya Çelebi, one of the most prominent traveler of 17th century in the Ottoman Empire, Bizas from Megara, Megara is a place in Greece now, left the place by escaping to establish his own city. A prophet from the Apollon temple in Delhi advised him to settle his colony opposite to the city of the blind. One day, he stepped on the peninsula of the Golden Horn, which was surrounded by sea from three sides and had a deep and long bay. It was a perfect place for a harbor. He remembered the prophecy and thought that the people of Kadıköy, today it's Kadıköy by the way, these people must have been blind not to see this wonderful land and have preferred to build the city on the other side. Since Bizas took the first step in there, it has been called Byzantium, or in other words, Istanbul. But in fact, these Chalcedonian people were just enjoying beauty of the landscape. So what can we infer from this example? Were they blind or were they enjoying the beauty? So reality can vary from people to people. The main reason is about perception. It is about how we perceive the world around us. So today we will talk about perception and how and why does perception affect our purchase behaviors? Let's start with the definition. But before defining perception, first we need to understand another term, sensation. Türkçe'de duyumsama gibi değişik karşılıklar bulabiliyor. Hepsi de psikolojide kullanılan Türkçe karşılıklar, terimler bu arada. Sensation is the immediate response of our sensory receptors. You see, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, fingers, skin, to basic stimuli such as light, color, sound, odor, and texture. Perception is related with this topic, sensation, and it is the process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting these sensations, or immediate response of our sensory receptors to basic stimuli such as color, sound, odor, and so on. Or with another definition, perception is how we gather and interpret information from the world around us. Well, we can say that perception is a process of attributing meanings to our environment by our senses. Here we have a filter that will affect our interpretation. A filter combined with our senses. Thus, we can say, we can also admit that the real world, or the most important one for marketers, is our perceptual world, since we live in this perceptual one. In this figure, you can see both our sensory receptors, which are our five senses, and sensory stimuli around us. From this point, first we will talk about these senses and their effects on us. Then the process of perception, the rest of this figure, how we are exposed, we attend and interpret these stimuli. Here you will remember I've told you about sensory marketing before, and as a part of it, scent marketing. In sensory marketing, company considers carefully about the impact of sensations on consumers' product experiences. They rely on consumers, or prospects will evaluate their products or services much more favorably when they've added or attached sensory stimuli to the product. Like Omni Hotels, an example. On its website, the company uses the sound of soft music. In its lobby, it uses scent of lemongrass and green tea. And the hotel, the company used in its rooms eucalyptus bath salts and sensation bars with mojito flavored jelly beans. And of course, apart from these senses, the hotel also attracts other senses by emphasizing the color, softness of a chair or a bed, furniture, roughness of another place, and so on. Philip Kotler from marketing, he suggested the term atmospherics in 1973 as environmental stimuli affecting our purchasing intentions or purchasing behavior in turn. Another term related with this topic is servicescape. Atmospherics'in Türkçesi tahmin edeceğiniz üzere atmosfer, servicescape ise genelde hizmet çatısı olarak geçiyor. So, servicescape, first defined by Woods and Bittner in 1981, and it also emphasizes, the authors or academics, emphasize the impact of the physical environment on our responses. Okay, let's move on with vision. It is known that humans get 75% of their knowledge by their vision, 13% by listening or hearing, and the rest, 12% by tasting, touching, and smelling. And visual ability, or our presence in the earth, dates back to 2.5 million years ago, while speaking and writing abilities evolved very recently. Actually, vision affects us not only from cognitive perspective, but more importantly from emotional perspective. This might help us to understand why visual messages are more effective. Moreover, our eyesight can capture color, motion, size, dimensions, brightness, and plenty of other aspects surrounding us. This means we get much more stimuli by sight. But still, we cannot process all these stimuli. A possible reason for this, each second we are exposed 11 million knowledge from the environment. However, our brains are just capable of processing 16 to 50 parts of knowledge, let's say, per second. So there is this vast sky over our head, but all we can see is the top of the well. Anyway, colors are a very extensive part of our vision. They influence both our psychology and physiology. We respond to colors differently according to the context, like culture, age, gender, etc. Evidence suggests that warm colors like red create feelings of arousal and stimulate appetite, and some cold ones like blue create more relaxing feelings. Actually, there are tons of research which were done about colors and their effects on service settings, from supermarkets to restaurants and hotels. And even my thesis was also on atmospherics of hotel environment. Yes, warm colors stimulate appetite in a restaurant setting and increase the pace of the customers. It even increases eating pace. Thus, restaurants attract more customers for a given meal. On contrary, hold colors such as blue decrease this pace because wave of the colors. I mean wavelength of the colors, and hold customers like blue hold customers longer, but encourage them to eat or drink more during their stay. Actually, colors have its own language. So, if you are interested in, I suggest you check latest studies. Yes, colors affect emotions, but they also convey messages. Moreover, the message would probably change by culture. Like white. White doesn't mean innocence in each culture. It indicates mourning in Japan, but black is the mourning color in Western countries. Perception of colors is also different for men and women. It is actually known that men are 16 times colorblind, while women can even detect slight differences on colors, and they also prefer brighter colors. But when people get aged, their preferences change with colors. This time, they prefer more brighter and lighter colors. A study reported that customers were affected by colors 85%, while they were affected by other stimuli 15%. And color is also very much approximately 80% effective on brand awareness, according to another study. In the past, owners were deciding on colors, or the wives of owners, let's say, for the brand logo or the interior or exterior design of the hotel, for example. But it is a paramount decision that may affect most of the purchase behavior, so it's really important for marketing. Scent, scents are harder to define. We compare them with particular objects, with color, size, dimensions. On the other hand, the possibility to remember of them is definitely higher because we progress fragrance cues in the limbic system. And this means our emotions are involved with particular scents, odors. In other words, they have a direct and intimate relationships with our brain that will remind us the context. I mean the place, the time, and the situation, and right away. Moreover, the more the scent is unique, the more ultimate and possibly favorable outcomes will come out directly and immediately. Maybe it's too early for you to focus on the scents of your childhood, but as time goes on and as you get older, whenever you smell familiar scents, you will remember good memories from your childhood or youth. This can be your mom's favorite food, or a washing soap, or maybe perfume of your first love. Of course, as in colors, here cultural, gender, age, health, and other factors would impact the degree to smell. But still, scent is of paramount importance when it comes to differentiate your brand, your services, etc. And it also provides great opportunities for marketers. Remember how we make our decisions, mostly habitual and effective. Emotions have great impact on us. And actually, let's say we are walking emotions most of the time. Therefore, scent is a very good way to reach your emotions, to your customers' emotions, and match them with a particular product, moreover, a particular brand. Singapore Airlines use scent for many years, and they have a unique registered scent that you will not smell elsewhere, but in their planes and sales offices. And additionally, they provide excellent service. Actually, it is vice versa. Let's say they provide excellent service, an excellent flight experience, and additionally they get benefit from scents. So next time when you board any of their planes, you notice the smell and feel at home. I mean, you will emotionally remember the service, you will feel comfortable and relaxed. This means that scents not only evokes emotions, but also create physical reactions, physical outcomes. Another example is from Lithuania. The country, by knowing this fact, created a perfume called Lithuania and used it in studios, of course, in embassies, hotels, and other public buildings to convey country's image. Have you gone shopping when you're hungry? In the past, actually, I did. Now, of course, I mean not now, but after that experience, I try not to go while I'm hungry. The reason, in supermarkets, they just release fresh bread smell everywhere in the supermarket for purpose. By this way, even if you're not hungry, you will feel good, and I guess it may be because of serotonin hormones, and with this good mood, you'll keep shopping, and if you are hungry like me, you're dead. Then you have to buy all those pastry, bread, etc. Of course, I'm joking, I'm kidding, but still, I remember that I had that bad experience. And Starbucks also knows how it works. So the company grinds few coffee beans each time to make you smell whenever you enter the outlet. Well, I forget to mention about signature scents. When a company uses a distinct, unique, and registered scent constantly for its marketing purposes, we call them signature scents. In other words, it's a fragrance that a company always uses so much that it comes to represent the brand. Okay, for now, it's enough about scents. Let's talk about sounds now. Forget about anything I've mentioned about other senses. Do you remember annoying ad jingles? For example, from iGas. I hope you are old enough to remember this. Whenever you hear not the exact sound but similar ones, your brains will take you to that moment. To that brand image, to that product picture. And another example is from Jolly Tour. I guess most of you fed up, like me, with this sound because of the density. The fact is, now you perfectly remember the brand, and maybe it comes to your mind. Comes to your mindsets very fast, and according to researchers, you will not forget them for a quite long time, since we remember what we hear longer than what we see. Okay, there is an expression in marketing: sell the sizzles? I guess it comes from steak commercials. It means that sizzle will help you to sell your products. How? When you have a good sound of sizzling steak, people will think that your product is good or better, and if the sizzle is good enough, they may think that it is the best. Of course, they may think that your product to be the best to try, and I hope it is good. And actually, the company should hope, or beyond hoping, it should also provide the best possible product or offering for their customers. Otherwise, these customers will be indifferent to the brand sizzles next time. Here, as you can imagine, sizzle is a metaphor. It's a specific characteristics of your product or brand, and that customers will find positive, attractive, satisfactory, and so on. And we term this as sizzle marketing. As I mentioned earlier, many studies found that in a restaurant setting, type, balance, speed of music might affect duration, purchase amount, even which type of beverage that consumers will consume. Remember also another experiment I mentioned several weeks ago about German and French wines. Thus, sound, but especially a specific music type, music, balance, pace, etc., is important and effective on your purchasing decisions. I want to add one more thing about sound marketing. The sizzle is so important for automobiles that sound engineers specifically work on a specific sound coming from slammed doors. They work on to make the voice richer to evoke consumer safety beliefs. Another sense is touch. And skin is the largest organ of the human body. And of course, it is of vital importance for us, but it is also very important for our decisions by affecting or altering our perceptions. A study reported that diners whom wait staff softly touched gave bigger tips. And another research found that at a food demonstration, staff who tightly touched customers had better chance to make them try a new snack. And we can increase these examples actually, but touch is like a knife. We should be very careful while we are using it. A soft, sincere touch might reveal positive feelings. On contrary, an accidental or severe touch from a stranger may lead negative evaluations of the product. Touching sense is of extra importance for some culture. When the customers touch, you remember Hofstede's culture studies and his famous cultural dimensions theory. In this model, there were 4 dimensions actually in the original model, but then he extended to 6. Individualism, collectivism, uncertainty avoidance, power distance, masculinity, femininity, long-term orientation, and indulgence. Here, I will mention uncertainty avoidance. You will remember involvement and perceived risk before. And according to Hofstede's model, there are cultures mostly avoiding risk and vice versa. He suggested that culture shapes our risk-taking behavior and purchase decisions, intentions, behaviors in turn. Most Western countries have low uncertainty avoidance points, which means they are more open to new experiences, products, and brands. On the other hand, most Eastern countries have higher points, and which mean they feel much more risk. Thus, they need more evidence. A study done in the United States found that 23% of Asian Americans touched and opened jars, packages for better evaluation. Of course, we don't need to go so far to understand uncertainty avoidance, because in Turkey, in farmers' markets, we push for selecting, our vegetables, fruits, etc. So we want more control over our products. FAM tours, familiarization tours, which is done by hotels, restaurants, tour operators, destinations mostly, to create awareness and provide a positive experience. The main point of FAM tours is to make the service or the brand tangible. By seeing, touching, hearing, tasting, we evaluate the product and make our choice to use that product or to go to that destination or just to advise that to others. We should consider the last sense from this perspective. We have more than 5 senses. This is not the last sense of us, but these five senses are most relevant and apparent than the rest. By encouraging people to taste their products, or let's say small parts of their products, for free, of course, restaurants, bars, hotels, destinations, for example, destinations in tourism fairs, can get benefits, as I mentioned before. So far, I mentioned about sensory stimuli. You see in the figure. There are stimuli coming to our sensory receptors, but having stimuli in the environment do not make any sense for marketers. Let's consider a very hot topic, COVID-19 pandemic. There are sensory stimuli everywhere. In the news, people are talking about the virus and conveying us a very specific message, which is stay at home. Policemen and governmental staff inform us, etc. But these do not mean that we have all got the message properly. Moreover, this doesn't mean that we've got the message. Even we've got the message. We are, if I'm not wrong, 6.5 billion people living on this planet. I'm quite sure that some of us have no idea about it. Sure, most of us know and got the message, stay at home. Here what I mean is, most of us are exposed to the message, but may not pay attention enough. Since we are busy, have lots to do, and when there is clutter in the environment, when we are indifferent, and so on. As a result, we may not get the message properly. Even if we get the message, we may interpret the message differently. 6.5 billion people might draw different conclusions from the same unique message. Of course, not because of their or our senses, but cultures, ages, habits, characteristics, situations, and so on. At the end of the day, some of us will just stay at home, and some others compulsively or voluntarily, freely, they will leave their homes. I couldn't finish today, but I will talk about the stages of perception, which is starting with collecting sensory stimuli around us by being exposed to attending the message and the interpretation stage. Okay, see you next week.